The morning rush at Green Valley Hospital was in full swing. Nurses shuffled between patient rooms, their arms laden with charts and supplies. Doctors exchanged hurried notes at the nurses' station, their brows furrowed in concentration. The waiting room buzzed with quiet tension, a mixture of worried patients and anxious families. Amid this controlled chaos, Susan, the hospital manager, strode purposefully down the halls, clipboard in hand. Her sharp heels clicked against the polished floor, a sound that sent staff into an immediate flurry of activity. Susan, known for her perfectionism and no-nonsense attitude, was determined to maintain order in the bustling hospital, even if it meant pushing everyone to their limits. Susan was a force to be reckoned with. In her late 40s, she carried herself with an air of authority that left no room for questioning. Her perfectly pressed suit and ever-present clipboard were symbols of her control over the hospital. Staff often whispered behind her back, calling her a tyrant who cared more about efficiency than empathy. But Susan dismissed such complaints, priding herself on her ability to keep Green Valley running like a well-oiled machine. "This hospital doesn't run on feelings," she'd often say. For Susan, discipline and order were the pillars of success, and she ensured everyone under her command knew it. As Susan marched toward the reception desk, she noticed a man stepping through the hospital's main doors. He was wearing a red MAGA hat, paired with a simple gray t-shirt and jeans. His casual appearance stood out against the polished attire of the staff and the neatly dressed patients. To Susan, the man looked like trouble. Her eyes narrowed as he approached the desk. Though no one else seemed to notice him, Susan's instincts were sharp. She immediately decided she needed to address this intruder before he disrupted her meticulously managed hospital. Little did she know, the seemingly ordinary man was no ordinary visitor. Susan approached the stranger with her signature icy demeanor. "Excuse me," she said curtly, her clipboard held like a shield. "Can I help you with something?" The man turned to her, his face calm and composed. "I'm here for a reason," he replied, "but I'd rather not make a scene." His calmness only irritated Susan further. "This is a hospital, not a political stage," she snapped, her eyes flicking to his red hat. "We don't allow political statements here, and frankly, your appearance is making people uncomfortable." The man, still composed, replied, "I'm not here to make a statement. I promise I won't get in anyone's way." But Susan was having none of it. She waved over security and had him escorted out, feeling a sense of satisfaction as the man walked away without protest. Watching the man leave, Susan felt triumphant. She turned to the onlooking staff and barked, "Back to work!" As she resumed her rounds, she couldn't help but feel proud of her swift handling of the situation. Order had been restored, and she had once again proven why she was in charge. But as she made her way through the hospital, whispers began to circulate among the staff. "Do you know who that was?" one nurse murmured to another. "No idea, but he seemed important," came the reply. Susan dismissed the gossip, confident that she'd done the right thing. The next day, as Susan was reviewing charts at the reception desk, she heard a commotion near the entrance. Her heart sank as she looked up and saw the same man walking back into the hospital, this time with a slightly more formal look but still wearing the infamous red hat. She stormed toward him, her heels clicking furiously. "You, again," she hissed. "What part of 'you're not welcome here' didn't you understand?" The man smiled faintly and said, "I'm here for business, not trouble." Susan's temper flared. "Business? In my hospital? Not on my watch," she said, summoning security once again. This time, the man left with a faint smile and a parting remark. "Appearances can be deceiving." That evening, Susan overheard snippets of conversations between staff. "I think that was Elon Musk," someone whispered. Susan's ears perked up, but she quickly shook her head. "Impossible," she thought. "Why would someone like Elon Musk show up here of all places?" Still, the thought lingered in her mind, making her uneasy. By the next morning, She was determined to put the incident behind her. But she was about to learn a truth that would shake her world. As Susan arrived at the hospital the following day, she was greeted with an unusual sight. The same man, now flanked by the hospital's board members, standing in the conference room. Her heart sank as one of the board members announced, "Susan, meet Elon Musk, our new majority shareholder and the hospital's new owner." A wave of disbelief washed over her. She felt the color drain from her face as the man, Elon Musk, turned to her with a calm but piercing gaze. "We need to talk," he said. In the tense meeting that followed, Elon addressed Susan's actions directly. "You judged me without knowing who I was or why I was here," he said. "This hospital stands for fairness and respect, values that should be reflected in its leadership." Susan's cheeks burned with shame as Elon continued. "This isn't about the hat. It's about how you treat people." His words hit harder than she expected. For the first time, Susan realized her leadership style was flawed. That night, Susan couldn't sleep. Elon's words echoed in her mind. Had she really let her biases dictate her decisions? Had she become the tyrant her staff whispered about? For years, she'd prided herself on her efficiency and control, but now she wondered if those qualities had blinded her to what truly mattered, the people she was supposed to lead. The next day, Susan walked into a meeting with the department heads, determined to prove she could change. As Elon led the discussion, he turned to her and asked, "What do you think is the biggest challenge here?" Susan took a deep breath and admitted, "Communication. I haven't been listening to my team, and that needs to change." Her candid response surprised the room and even earned a nod of approval from Elon. Over the next few weeks, Susan made it a point to engage with her staff. She began hosting listening sessions where employees could share their concerns openly. During one session, a janitor spoke up about broken equipment that had been ignored for months. Susan immediately took action, ensuring the issue was resolved within 24 hours. Word spread quickly, and staff began to see her in a new light. Susan started joining her team on the floor, assisting nurses and even helping patients directly. These small acts of humility began to rebuild trust, and staff who once feared her now felt comfortable approaching her with ideas and concerns. One day, a nurse struggling to manage a patient's care was shocked when Susan stepped in to help. "Just call me Susan," she said with a smile. Moments like these showed the staff that she was committed to being part of the team, not just managing it. Susan's weekly sessions became a cornerstone of her new leadership style. She listened intently, took notes, and followed through on promises. The staff began to feel heard and valued, and morale slowly improved. Susan's efforts began to pay off. Patient care improved, staff turnover decreased, and even the hospital's financial performance saw a slight uptick. Each small victory motivated Susan to keep going. Elon noticed the changes and approached Susan during one of his visits. "You're doing well," he said. "Keep it up." His words, though brief, felt like a milestone in her journey toward redemption. During a celebration for the hospital staff, Elon called Susan to the stage. "Leadership is about growth," he said. "Susan has shown that change is possible when we're willing to learn." The room erupted in applause as Susan stepped forward, her heart full. Susan proposed a scholarship fund for low-income students pursuing healthcare careers, a bold initiative that won unanimous support from the staff and board. It was a testament to her transformation as a leader. Under Susan's leadership, the hospital became a place of hope and collaboration. Staff felt valued, patients noticed the difference, and Green Valley flourished. At a staff event, Elon commended the team for their resilience and unity. "This hospital is proof that change is possible," he said, raising a glass in a toast to their success. As the night ended, a nurse approached Susan and said, "You've changed. We're lucky to have you." Susan smiled, realizing she'd not only transformed the hospital but also herself. Susan continued to lead with empathy and humility, proving that even the most rigid leaders can grow. Under her transformed leadership, Green Valley Hospital became a model of excellence, known for its innovative care and compassionate environment. The staff, once wary of her, now looked up to Susan as an example of how true leadership is about service and growth. In a quiet moment one evening, Susan stood by a hospital window overlooking the bustling city. Elon's words echoed in her mind. Leadership isn't about being perfect, it's about learning and growing. She realized how far she'd come, not just as a leader, but as a person. The hospital's success wasn't just a story of redemption. It was a testament to the power of second chances, a reminder that change is always possible with courage and humility. And for Susan, it was the beginning of a legacy that would inspire others to lead with heart and purpose. What about you? Have you ever had a moment where you realized the need to change and grow? Let us know in the comments below. Your stories of transformation could inspire someone else's journey.